Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I'm going to be reading The Color of My Words by Lynn Joseph. This is chapter 4, and it's called Merengue Dream. I turn to the right, I turn to the left, I twirl in a circle moon in my merengue dream. I tap to the front, I tap to the back, I shimmy with the stars in my merengue dream. I spin to the east, I spin to the west, I dance across the night in my merengue dream. I open my eyes, I tremble and slide. My knees start to buckle and my dreams subside. In the Republica Dominica, music grows in our blood, right from the cradle, and dancing bleeds it in bold colors, reds and purples, swirling everywhere. We wake up to merengue and go to sleep to sweet salsa. In between the sway and sigh to the melancholy sounds of the countryside bachata. In our neighborhood, wooden houses are set side by side in every color of the rainbow. Our radios are perched like blackbirds on our porches to warn passerbys that someone is at home and to pick up your feet. At night, the merengue is loud enough to shake the stars right out of the sky. Here, no one loves to dance more than my Papi. Merengue, bachata, salsa, all of these dances Papi can do with such grace that watching him step and spin and glide across the porch makes you think that his music is floating from the air straight to his feet. Twice a month, on Guario's paydays, we have a small fiesta on our porch. Mama makes a big pot of sancocho with juicy pieces of pork and chicken and lots of yuca and plantanos, all stirred up in a nice stew. I sit on the floor peeling about 100 chinas, the sweetest oranges ever, to make orange juice. By the time I am finished, I am surrounded by a pyramid of orange peel that creeps around me and circles up to my neck. Papi sets up seats on the porch. Any chair or even a wooden board that could be balanced on 2 cement blocks would do. Papi sends Roberto down to the colmado to buy bottles of Brugla, rum, and Coke. Then Papi bathes in the river and comes back looking sparkling clean with a fresh shirt and pants, and his dark curly hair slicked down so fine that you can see the comb's teeth marks in it. By the time the fiesta starts, though, Papi's hair would be in curls all over his head again, each curl springing up separately, a rebellion of his primary African race over his Spanish bloodline. I loved and hated these fiestas. I loved them because everyone was happy and called me mi amor, linda, and cariño for the rest of the day. It was as if God's angels were hovering over the island. On fiesta days, people forgot their roofs that leaked rain, and the jobs that were closing down, and the tourists that didn't come this year, and how much they missed husbands and brothers who worked hard in Nueva New York and sent money home by Western Union. On fiesta days, there were no problemas. The reason I hated the fiestas was because I was the only person on the island who couldn't dance. Believe me, I tried. Sometimes I spun the wrong way, sometimes too fast, and almost fell. Sometimes I turned and couldn't find my partner, who was looking for me in another direction. In my dreams, I could dance like a fairy, smooth and beautiful, with dresses that floated around my knees, but on our front porch, I was like a fish washed up on the sand. No matter how hard I flipped and flapped, I wasn't going anywhere. The worst part was that people would say, "But you can't be La Haya of Senor Hernandez. He dances like the wind. What's wrong with you?" Instead of dancing, I would hide behind the wooden table, which teetered under the tremendous weight of Mama's sancocho and our neighbor's pots full of arroz con pollo. I served food to everyone who stopped by. I poured glasses of juice. I changed cassettes in the radio. I held the babies on my lap and sang songs to them. And I watched to see if I could learn the secret to dancing. I watched closely as Papi tucked a red hibiscus behind Mommy's ear and whirled her around and around the porch. Mommy's feet flew in between Papi's legs, never seeming to touch the porch. They slid in, then out, then around, then to the left, then to the right, and around in twirls, flying across the porch as if weaving starlight from magical dust. And Papi, he was a different person completely. He was no longer the loud voice in a porch chair. He was the angel of dance. He was the blue moon shimmering in the night sky. He was a laughing, handsome man, almost as handsome as Guario. Everyone stared at him as if they couldn't believe that Señor Hernandez was human and not a star that had fallen down and decided to have some fun before ascending back to the sky. He was everything that was mystery and magic, and it was during these fiestas that I loved my Papi so much that I could see what Mommy saw. A dreamer, not a drinker, a dancer, not a drunk. Then came the night of the fiesta that Papi stopped in the middle of the song and looked right at me. He held his hand out like a prince. "Come, muchacha, dance with your Papi." I shook my head. My cheeks were hot with shame. The shame filled my body, making my bare toes tingle. Papi looked at me for a few more moments. I was probably the only person who had ever refused to dance with him. The next morning, Papi did not sit on his porch chair after breakfast. Instead, he dressed in a nice pair of pants and he said, "Come, Ana Rosa. Today you will learn how to dance." "Papi, I don't like to dance," I mumbled and washed the dishes. Papi snorted out loud. "You hear that, God?" he said, looking up at the galvanized roof of our house. "She doesn't like to dance." Then he looked at me. Only fools don't love what God gives so freely. It was the first time that Papi had spoken to me like this. Usually, he asked me to bring him a glass or some ice or a plate of food. Sometimes when he was happy with 2 drinks in his belly, he laughed and pulled my ponytail as I walked by. But this morning, he hadn't any drinks as yet. He was looking mighty serious as Guario. "Put on your shoes, Ana Rosa," Papi insisted. "We are going to dance." At first, Papi put on the merengue, but he decided it was too fast. Then he put on other merengues. Slower ones, snappy ones, funny ones. None of them worked. My hips switched when they should have swayed. My knees buckled in and out like a jerky puppets. We moved from the front porch to the side yard where no one could see us. "Feel the music, Ana Rosa," said Papi. "I don't know how, Papi," I wailed. "It's not a tree or flower. It's like trying to feel the sea. It keeps slipping away." "Then listen to the words," Papi persisted. "You love words. Listen and dance to them." Sounded like good advice, but for once I realized that words could not help me. I could not dance to words any easier than I could to the rhythm that seeped so secretly into everyone but me. All morning, Papi tried to teach me a dance, but the harder he tried, the more my feet tangled with his. "It's no use, Papi," I said, almost in tears. "Give up, Papi," said Angela, who was watching from the window. "Nunca," said Papi. "She will learn. She just have to find a way for her to feel the music." Then Papi stopped, just so, in the middle of the yard, and I almost tripped and fell. "What's the matter?" I asked. "Ana Rosa," he whispered Papi. "Do you even like the music?" The look on Papi's face would have made me laugh if I were not so miserable. "See, Papi, see," I said. I love the music." Papi's shoulders relaxed, and he let out a big sigh. "I almost think you are not Dominican, Cara," he said with a startling smile. I smiled back at him. "Okay, let's take a break. I need to think about this," he said. Papi went back to the porch, and I went inside to help Mommy and Angela clean up the big mess from the fiesta. The next day, when I got home from school, Papi was waiting for me on the porch, but there were no bottles or glasses in his hands. And when he said "hola" to me, there was no smell of rum. "¿Qué pasa?" I asked suspiciously. "Change your clothes, Cara, and let's go." Where?" I asked. "You'll see," said Papi. I went inside and Mommy handed me some shorts, a shirt, and my slippers. "What's going on, Mommy?" I asked. "Where's Papi taking me?" Mommy only smiled and she said, "You'll see." As Papi and I set down the dirt track, Mommy waved from her porch. Questions swirled around and around in my head, but I had learned that sometimes no matter how many questions you ask, a grown-up is not going to answer you. "You'll see" are code words for "it's a surprise." And I don't know why they think that we want to be surprised all the time. Papi and I walked around the road until we got to Sosua Beach. I love the beach, and this was one of the most beautiful of all the beaches on our island. It's close to my home, and the sand is glorious white that burns your feet in the middle of a sunny day. The sea is blue, and the water is so clear that you can see everything on the bottom, even when you're up to your neck in water. "We're going to the beach, Papi?" I asked. He smiled and nodded. "You love the sea, right?" "Yes, Papi, I love the sea more than anything else." He nodded. "That's what I thought." I didn't understand, but as soon as I saw the water and the waves, I felt happy the way I always do. When we got to the edge of the water, Papi stopped, took off his shoes. "Okay, Carino, we're going to feel the music of the sea." I took off my slippers, too, and I waded into the water. "No, we're not going in," said Papi. "Come here." I went over by Papi and looked at him in a puzzle. "Listen to the sea," said Papi. "Close your eyes and listen to the sea." I did what he asked. It was easy because I do it all the time. I love the sounds of the sea. It's like a special band playing music all on its own. "Do you hear the music, Ana Rosa?" said Papi. I nodded. This was no problem at all. I listened to the blooming of the waves on the rocks. I listened to the whisper of the waves that slipped up to the sand. And I listened to the swooshing of the wind gliding over the water. Then Papi took my hands in his. "Now keep your eyes closed and let's dance," he said. At first, I felt funny dancing with my Papi on the beach. But I listened to the sea, and I began to feel the music in my feet and in my heart and all around me. "Papi, I'm dancing," I wanted to shout as he twirled me in the sand. My hands left his, and I turned and turned. And then my hands fell smoothly back into his. My toes slid in and out of the sea, left, then right, then all around. I was a balloon, finally free of its string. The music of the sea went on, and Papi and I danced until the sun slipped huge and orange onto the edge of the ocean. At the end of our dance, beach vendors who were packing up for the day stopped and clapped for us. Papi held out my hand and I bowed. I couldn't stop giggling as we walked back home. I can dance! I wanted to tell everyone we passed. When we got home, Mommy was waiting on the porch with 2 glasses of lime juice. Papi winked at her, and Mommy's face turned red and I laughed. Then Papi turned on the radio and held his hand out to me. We began to dance, and I slowly felt the merengue beat slipping in my Dominican bones, just the way it's supposed to. Mommy sat on the porch, and I watched, tapping her foot to the music. Papi and I danced on as the circle moon filled the sky with light. And at that moment, my Papi was everything I had always wanted him to be. That's the end of chapter 4.